Hello, I'm Kim Curry, Exhibition Director for Art in Action. Herblock and fellow artists respond to their times. This exhibition features as a foundation and backbone a sampling of issues that Herblock addressed over his 72-year career as a cartoonist, mostly for the Washington Post. Herblock's cartoons cover such issues as civil rights, women's rights and gender issues, the media, health, war and the impact of war, education, and the environment. Herblock's cartoons are paired with powerful images by contemporary artists and creators who comment visually on these same eternal issues. The works in this exhibition are from the library's Prints and Photographs division. Art in Action is the brainchild of two of the division's curators, Catherine Blood and Martha Kennedy.
The first cartoon in the exhibit, No More Lessons, Pablo, underscores the idea that Herblock did feel a strong connection to the world of fine art. He created this moving tribute to Pablo Picasso, a global star of fine art, just days after he died.
Widening the circle to include further context, we're showing a number of examples from the long, grand tradition of socially engaged art, including this etching, issued in the late 1790s by Spanish artist Francisco de Goya. It's called The Sleep of Reason Produces Monsters, and we see the artist here asleep and surrounded by a variety of nocturnal animals. This is the signature image from his series called Los Caprichos, and in it he takes aim at the society in which he is living in a satirical way, and he warns against the dangers of ignorance and superstition among both the powerful and everyday people. And interestingly, it was an abysmal commercial failure at first and went on to become incredibly influential, and the influence continues to this day among artists.
Herblock's cartoon Race features one of his great visual metaphors for crisis in racial tensions in America. He created this cartoon just weeks after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Herblock addressed civil rights repeatedly, decade after decade. This cartoon is one of his strongest, most masterful drawings on the theme. Notice how beautifully and concisely he draws the dynamic figures of the runners and their expressive faces. Herblock signals hope in this cartoon by showing the runner representing progress, pulling ahead of, and even pushing back his angry-looking brother. This cartoon is part of a grouping that shows the visual call and response that runs through the exhibition.
We also include this poignant and painterly lithograph by artist Kerry James Marshall. It pays tributes to the heroes and martyrs of the civil rights movement, including at the heart of the composition Martin Luther King Jr. and John F. Kennedy. Above them, depicted as angels, are Medgar Evers, the four little girls who died in the 1963 Birmingham church bombing, and others. We can imagine when we look at the mourner in the foreground that she's drawing us in, and she is perhaps posing a question. What will we do? How will we move forward?
War is a topic that deeply concerned Herblock during his career. He's well known for producing many anti-war cartoons, but he takes a different position on World War II. This cartoon from 1942 celebrates the heroism of American soldiers. He portrays them as over life-size figures striding fearlessly into battle. Below them, we see the John Q. citizen figure, active on the home front. He's the quintessential little guy in Herblock's work. Herblock used this figure often in his work to express his concern for people who are overlooked and to give voice to the voiceless.
Continuing on the topic of war, the Combat Paper Project paired military veterans with civilian artists to tell stories of service and trauma using pulp paper made from old uniforms. We include examples by Air Force nurse Ruth Lynn McIntosh and Dick Iacovello, who was a U.S. Army medic during the Vietnam War. His piece called What We Left Behind includes a 1963 snapshot of himself and his comrades, of whom he was the only survivor. He collaborated on this piece with Drew Matot, who co-founded Combat Paper with Iraq War veteran Drew Cameron.
The role of media represents another compelling theme in Herblock's work. This 1972 cartoon graphically shows how President Nixon did everything he could to shape and control the way the media were covering his administration through television and other kinds of communication. Herblock critiques the administration line by showing it as visually slanted coverage. And I think this is a wonderful example showing how form and meaning come together. The massive pressure from the president is conveyed in terms that register physically. You can see this almost crushing the small figure representing the free press on the lower right.
And this next piece speaks to how fast and wide images can circulate in the era of social media. This is by Colombian-American artist Jessica Sabogal, and it's part of a series published by Amplifier for the 2017 Women's March. Both online versions and printed versions were made freely available, and this went viral, circulating by the millions and appearing widely in news coverage. Everything about the image is hopeful and empowering, including the shining upward gaze of the little girl whose name is Maya. Martha mentioned earlier Herblock's championing of the little guy, and many artists describe some version of this, the wish to empower the disempowered through their art. And this is part of the artist's larger body of work about the empowerment of women.
Turning to the environment, in this cartoon, he references drought that was adversely affecting food production in 1988. But he also uses this as an opportunity to bring attention to two other conditions in the environment: pollution of the oceans and the air. Commented on human activities that he saw affecting the environment. His depiction of these two conditions that humans have some ability to control offers a thought-provoking contrast with drought, which is a condition that humans have little way of controlling. Other artists have focused on the environment in their work, and Catherine will share an interesting example with us.
Mel Chin's etching called Revival Ramp may look like a work of pure imagination, but it's actually based on the artist's outdoor sculptural installation. And this is an artwork which actually helps by using plants called superaccumulators to draw toxins out of polluted soil. So he uses this wonderful visual device of the spiraling ramp. And we begin with this beautiful, fresh landscape. He's included trees based on a drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, and then spiraling down past a polluted landscape and the installation here, and then continuing down to renewed health and beauty, where Da Vinci's trees are now glowing in color. So a true artwork in action. We've been looking at a few examples from the exhibition that help us consider ways in which art can reflect history, society, and culture in ways that can be tremendously powerful and compelling. We'd like to invite you to visit our exhibition website, where you can see all of the artworks in the exhibition, both by Herblock and an additional 20 fellow artists.
Collectively, these artists' reflections on society's most urgent concerns resonate with viewers today, moving them to think, feel, and sometimes take action.